Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Friend, are you holding on to bitterness and resentment towards somebody? Do you feel triggered and angry every time you see that person? Maybe it's a parent, maybe a family member, maybe it's a past friend, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your kids. Does it mess with you when you hear that person's name in a conversation? Maybe you've promised to yourself, I will never forgive this person. It could be your spouse, just the little things that you resent, that they don't meet your expectations, that you thought that they were going to do. We are going to address all of these things in this podcast episode. And the reason I think it's so important to address past bitterness and resentment and process and release those emotions in a healthy way is because they directly impact your emotional capacity and tolerance levels and anger as a mom. Welcome to Emotionally Healthy Legacy. I'm so glad that you're part of this podcast. If you've been here for a while, I am so thankful that you are here. I have a wonderful resource for you called How to 10x Your Emotional Capacity Levels as a Mom. If you leave me a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and take a screenshot of it, email it to me, hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. and send it over to me, I will give you a coupon code where you can get a free training, How to 10x Emotional Capacity Levels as a Mom, completely for free. Or you can purchase it for $27 if you just scroll down in the show notes. This is a wonderful resource. Many moms have really, really enjoyed and I've gotten positive feedback on. You have 11 things on there that you can do, some of them even today, to increase your emotional capacity levels as a mom, to have more tolerance when things are not going your way, so you feel less reactive. Okay, so let's get into this podcast episode. And so last week, I watched the movie The Forge with my boys. It's a Christian movie made by the Kendrick brothers. They made the movie Fireproof. They made the movie War Room. They made the movie Courageous. Maybe you've heard of those movies. Those are the big ones that really stand out to me. We have like DVDs for all of them because I really like all of those movies. They're so wonderful. And the new movie that they released this year, this fall, is called The Forge. I rented it on Amazon so I could watch it with my boys. And in that storyline, there's a young man who is the main character of the story. He has a lot of bitterness and resentment towards his dad and anger. There's a moment in the movie where he unexpectedly comes face to face with his dad, and it triggers him so much, he just like freezes. And then he like storms away, feeling extremely angry and just wanting to kick things and throw things and just smash things. He didn't do much of it, but you could see it. Like he's like physically, he just wanted to do that physical release because he was so angry and like towards his dad. And he says, I feel so bitter and resentment towards him, so much bitterness and resentment towards him because he didn't keep his words. He said he was going to come to my games and he didn't. He kept on drinking and he left our family and like all these things, right? And the main character of the movie, who is this young man, works for him, the elder mentor in the movie, he lost his son to a drunk driver sometime before that. And he shares with this young man how he forgave that drunk driver. And later on, this young man finds out that this drunk driver became a believer and he's in the same Bible study group with his mentor and him, which was really, really interesting. Anyways, just the whole story. And it talked about how the young man and that character in that movie, how he needed to lean on God to forgive his dad and let go of that bitterness and resentment. So maybe somebody has hurt you really, really badly in your past. Maybe it's a betrayal in a marriage, maybe a pornography addiction or physical betrayal. Maybe it's you had somebody that betrayed you or your husband in business and screwed you over and you lost a lot of money. Maybe it's lying in a relationship or a friendship that you had with a really close friend. Maybe it's just relationship conflict with your mom, with your sister, with extended family. Maybe I was just watching this clip. It's so sad. There was a family that lost 3 teenagers that were in the same car because they were hit by a drunk driver. Like, imagine forgiving and letting go of that. Like, that's just insane. There was another story, and maybe if your kids are listening to this, maybe put some headphones in. It's just kind of like unpleasant. Just a little heads up. There was a story when we lived in Minnesota about this one young mom that I knew personally. I knew of her. And she had 2 kids and she was pregnant with her 3rd. And her husband definitely had some mental issues. I don't know if he was bipolar, but definitely, or he like would overcome by the dark spirits, but just obviously not a normal human being. He ended up murdering her and stabbing her to death in her own house. He took the kids, put them in the car, strapped them in, went back inside and, stabbed his wife and then left. And for her to die. And like, we went to her funeral and like, I just like imagine how hard that is for the parents, her parents, to be able to forgive and move on. Like, you cannot, like, I know that for me personally, that that is so deep. Like, that is so deep. Like, you cannot just be like a day later, oh, I forgive. Like, those are some big emotions that do take time to process. We know we need to forgive. We know we need to move forward. And forgiveness is something you cannot just like be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to forgive. Like, yes, it's a choice and decision you make, but you also need to process those emotions in a helpful way. And I will talk to you about this in later in the podcast. It is important to process and release them in a really helpful way. So you're not just like, throwing it out. Oh, I just forgive this person, move on. Like, forgiving is truly forgiving, moving forward, and not holding resentment and bitterness towards that person. So why should we forgive? Or should we forgive? Well, yes, we should. And the Bible clearly tells us that we do need to forgive as believers. In Matthew 6:14-15, for if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Which means we do need to forgive. If we want Jesus to forgive our mistakes, our messes, our sinful choices, we need to forgive others. And the hard thing is that we cannot, it's hard for our humans to understand the depth of like a white lie versus a murder. But in God's eyes, sin is sin. Both of them are sin. And that's so hard to grasp because some of them have much more painful consequences than others, right? And so I've had to forgive some really challenging things in my life, some really hurtful things. And it was hard. It was not an overnight thing. It was a decision that I made that I'm going to forgive. And there were many steps I needed to take along the way. And I'll share with you the steps that I needed to take. The problem is when we're holding on to that wrong and sinful choice that somebody did against us because what they did was wrong and sinful and destructive. Like, it is eating us alive. It is messing with our life. It's not making their life any better or worse. Like, it's not ruining their life. It's ruining our life to hold on to this bitterness and resentment. So ask yourself, is it serving me to hold on to that bitterness, anger, and resentment towards that person who did wrong against me? Or does that make that person want to change or apologize or make amends? The fact that I feel angry and bitter and resentful? Or is it actually ruining your life? Is it messing with your life? The problem when you feel bitter and resentful and angry towards someone is that it is not processed. Those are big feelings that are not processed, and you're holding on to them instead of surrendering them to the Lord. So what it does to you when you have bitterness and resentment, like constantly going on in your heart, you are emotionally dysregulated when that happens, especially when you see that person, when you remember of the incident. It triggers you. You get emotionally dysregulated. What that does is it lowers your emotional capacity levels as a mom. It does. It actually lowers your emotional capacity levels. You feel more annoyed and triggered by your kids because you feel dysregulated because you just heard that person, you saw that person, you were just remembered of that memory that brought up for you. You will also feel more triggered by your kids' regular behavior. They might be doing the same old thing, just being kids, having hard moments in them on their own. They're having a meltdown. They are getting in arguments with their siblings. They're whining, just the typical things that kids do. And you will feel a lot more triggered by their behavior because you are feeling dysregulated and you are in a yucky state. And then what happens is the next step is you take out your anger and frustration on your kids when they have nothing to do with it. You might have bitterness and resentment towards your husband because he's not meeting your expectations. He's not doing what you want him to do, which is like a whole nother thing of control. And we work on that in my coaching program, letting go of control, of trying to control other people and circumstances. And you might feel bitter and resentment towards your husband. And you feel triggered by your kids and you're taking out your anger and frustration on your kids because you feel bitter towards your husband. because of something that he did, something he said, or the conflict that you had between you two. And that's why it's so important to process these emotions in a healthy way. So let's get a perspective shift. Why do people do hurtful things? Why does our husband do hurtful things towards us? Why do other people do hurtful things, like the drunk driver and disruptive things? Why do people get, say hurtful things in relationships? Why do people screw other people's in business? Why do people lie? Why do people betray in a marriage? It actually, if you think about it, a lot of it comes back to feelings and how they are feeling at the time. Hurt people hurt other people. I'm sure you heard that phrase before. Hurt people hurt other people. Something caused that person to do that. Then, and that hurt in their lives is hurting other people. So if you're thinking about if somebody is feeling yucky internally, they will say hurtful things to others, just like you say hurtful things to your kids and your spouse when you feel yucky internally. When somebody has unmet emotional needs in a marriage, when the marriage has constant conflict, when a marriage is not in a good state, when somebody walked away from the Lord and allowed Satan to speak lies over them and believe those lies, they are in a yucky state, and they might, it might lead to betrayal, right? It might lead people, like even that murder situation that I shared with you. A normal, happy person that has their emotional needs met, who feels good mentally and emotionally, is not going to do things like that. A lot of it comes back to their childhood and what they experienced and who they became as they were growing up. Like a person that was drunk driving. Why did they drink in the first place? Is it because they were numbing feelings that were very uncomfortable? Some stressful feelings, or maybe some hurtful events that were done to them. And so they were hurting and they were numbing it. And then they went driving and they got in a car accident. So hurt people hurt other people. When you feel yucky, you say hurtful things and do hurtful things. When your husband feels yucky internally, he says and does hurtful things. Same thing for your kids. When your child is feeling good internally, their emotional needs are met, their physical needs are met, they're in a good place. They're not going to be hurting their sibling. When they're in a yucky place, they are hurting their sibling. Okay? Hurt people hurt other people. And one thing that helps me, a perspective that instead of feeling super angry when somebody does something that really hurts you or hurts other people, this can be helpful towards your relationship with your spouse or even relationships with other people. And you ask yourself this question: I wonder what was going on in his life that he decided to do that. Understanding there's always a reason underneath that, because thoughts lead to feelings and feelings lead to action. People don't hurt others for no reason, typically. There's always a reason underneath. If you're feeling good internally, you behave good. You make good choices. If you're feeling yucky internally, you make yucky choices, poor choices, sinful choices, destructive choices. And asking the question, I wonder what was going on in his life that he decided to do that. I wonder what's going on that he's doing that. I wonder what happened that she said that, XYZ. I wonder what's going on, the curiosity. Anger and curiosity cannot coexist. If you're curious, your brain is still deciding to figure out what the heck happened, instead of coming conclusion of feeling angry, bitter, and resentful. I wonder why he's scrolling on his phone instead of helping me with the dishes. I wonder why he just went to his room and he's being alone by himself instead of helping with the kids with the nighttime routine. I wonder why he stays late at work. Is it because he's feeling too overwhelmed when he comes home from all the noise and all the kids? Or is it he stays too late at work because when he comes home, you're in a negative and reactive mood and you complain and you say hurtful things that are unpleasant, like asking yourself, I wonder why that person is making that choice. And that allows you to be curious instead of being judgmental and instead of reacting in frustration. So when you start feeling really frustrated towards someone, asking yourself, I wonder why they're doing XYZ. That's a really, really, really good question. I want to let you know, friend, if you're listening to this podcast episode and you find yourself feeling bitter and resentful towards your husband and your kids on a regular basis, and it leads to feeling reactive, negative attitude, frustration, angry outbursts, screaming, yelling at your kids. Maybe you even scream to the point where your throat hurts. Maybe you throw things in your home. Maybe your husband says, hey, listen, you have anger issues. I don't know what happened to you, but you're not the same person that I married. Maybe you don't feel safe being around your kids when you feel angry. Maybe your kids don't want to be around you because you feel angry all the time. I want to let you know that I can help you. I've worked with many, many mamas. I've worked with the single moms. I've worked with stay-at-home moms. I worked with married moms, moms that work full-time, moms that homeschool their kids, moms that have 8 kids, moms that have one child. Like I've worked with many moms that homeschool their kids and stay home with them all the time and their husband travels, moms that do have supportive husbands, moms that have husbands with mental health struggles. Like I have coached many moms that even got a side job so they can pay for coaching for my coaching program because they see the value and the need. So if this is something that you need help with, if you want more peace and calm in your home, if you want to be more positive and learn how to let go of the bitterness and resentment and set a positive, encouraging tone in your home, I can help you. My 12-week coaching program was made for you. If this is something that aligns with you and you want changes in your life right now, book a consultation call with me using the link in the show notes. You can book a call this month in December and you can enroll and we can start working in January. If you enroll in December, the price is the current price right now. In January, my prices are going to go up in my coaching program. So if you want to enroll at the current price, this is your chance. Book a consultation call with me. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. My program is 100% money back guarantee. If you show up and you do the work and you don't get results, I will give you a full refund at week. I also have payment options, and I can also partner with a loan company where you can get up to 12 months of interest-free payments depending on your credit history. So my friend, there's many options. I would love to connect with you and support you on this journey. All right. The next steps are in the show notes. So if you want to book a call with, you can use the show notes to click on that link. Okay. What are the steps that we can take to let go of bitterness and resentment and anger? So step 1 is praying, bringing this to the Lord. It is so, so hard to let go of bitterness and resentment without God. I know there's plenty of unbelievers say that they have done it. Honestly, I don't know exactly how they do it. What I can tell you is that even if they do it, it's probably 1,000 times harder. Like bringing this to the Lord, surrendering this to God, it's going to make things so much lighter, so much lighter. Asking for God to shift your heart, to open your eyes to see what you haven't seen. Asking God to help you through this. So praying, that is step 1. Step 2, when you're going through something painful, something hard, you have bitterness and resentment. Step 2 is sharing with someone else who will mentor you. You can share your pain, you can share your frustration, you can share your overwhelm. So you're not holding on all to it on the inside, okay? But somebody that's going to mentor you, yes, they will create space for you to express those feelings and they will encourage you to move forward instead of just like, oh my gosh, that just sucks. I'm so sorry. Well, it is what it is. And There's nothing really you can do about it and just let you like sit and dwell on that. You need somebody that's going to listen to your pain, empathize with you, and also mentor you to move past it. Okay. So number 3 is journaling. Okay. If you think about in Psalms, David journaled a lot. Those are like his journal entries, really. He was telling God in his journals how he felt and why he felt it. And he poured out so many feelings in there. Journaling is a wonderful, safe place where you can tell God your prayers. You can process, like emotionally vomit pretty much everything that you feel. And like all those feelings, I feel resentment towards my husband because XYZ. And this is what's going on. Like you're getting it out of your mind and on paper. And it is so valuable and so helpful. So it's not swirling out in your head. All right. Number 4 is writing a letter to that one person that you feel resentful and bitter towards. Somebody that you have not forgiven. But you do not give that letter to them. Okay. There's different letters that you can write. One of them is a letter telling them and expressing to them how their actions really hurt you, why you feel so upset about it, why you feel so hurt upset, how it impacted your life, what you wish would have happened instead. You are writing that letter just to like freely express, like as if that person was sitting there and they took it all in, they did not argue with you, you're writing that letter to them, okay? And the next step that you can do is you pray over that letter, you burn it. You surrender it to the Lord. It's like a symbolic release. You can put it in a fire pit. You can put it in a fireplace. You can literally just take it on the driveway, take a lighter, and you just burn that piece of paper. It's a symbolic release. You pray and surrender that pain to the Lord, and you release it. You could also, as you are writing another letter, like I've done that, writing a letter of forgiveness to the person that has really hurt you. So I've done that letter. A letter of impact, how much their painful choices have affected me. And then later on, I was in a place to write a letter of forgiveness. And I wrote a letter of forgiveness to that person. I actually gave it to them. Forgiveness of all the things that they have hurt me and that I am choosing to let go and move on. And like, this is just part of my story. And I'm choosing to forgive and move forward and not hold this against you or bring this up again. So that is a really so wonderful way for you to like put it on paper and release it in that way. Okay. One of the big things that I did when I've been through painful things, when I feel bitter, resentful, and angry towards someone, I cry. Crying is such a wonderful way to release those big cooped up emotions. In Romans 12:19, it says, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge. I will repay, says the Lord." God will take care of it. It's a mental shift. It's a mental decision that we make in our mind, choosing to surrender it to God. It's a decision to give it up to God. You can do it in a journal. You can pray about it. And it's a mental shift. Like, this is no longer serving me to hold on to this bitterness and resentment. Lord, I give this fully to you. Please take it off my heart. I surrender this to you, that you are going to take care of that person in the way that you see fit, that you see the pain and the suffering they brought into my life. And I surrender it to you. I'm not going to try to repay that person. I'm not going to try to be mean, rude, and disrespectful. I'm just surrendering it to you. When it comes to marital things and you feel bitter and resentful towards your husband because they didn't do something or they said something, obviously communication is a huge thing. And we definitely talk about that in my coaching program. Coaching program is for moms. And there's a lot of overlap when it comes to marriage, because emotions are huge. We touch on marriage so much in our coaching calls because it's a huge thing. It's massive. It impacts your everyday life and decisions that you make. And so mindset that we work on, it's not just for parenting. It's going to benefit you directly in your marriage as well. So when you obviously feel bitter and resentful towards your husband, I would take some steps to maybe moving your body, going for a walk, praying to the Lord, journaling, and then having a conversation with your spouse, and be like, hey, listen, when you do XYZ, it really hurts me because XYZ, and I feel bitter and resentful towards you. I would really appreciate if you wouldn't do this, or if you do this and this instead. So those are some positive ways to communicate with your spouse. Forgiveness, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a choice. It's a mental decision that you make. Instead of, I have to forgive, I need to forgive, I choose to forgive because it doesn't serve me to hold on to this bitterness and resentment. I choose to forgive and move past this and not look back and not bring it up. If you went through some really hard traumatic things in your life, when it comes to a lot of hurtful pain in the past, one of the things that was helpful for me, I did EMDR treatment for a little while to help you process. You go back into the memory of that hurtful event, and because your brain tends to block it out when something is really traumatic, and you process. So those hard emotions, you go back into that event, and it allows you to process those emotions. Like you cry when it's happening to you, maybe even like a shaking, maybe you even throw up because it's so bad. But it allows you to process those emotions that later on, when you see that person that hurt you or something like that, you don't feel triggered, which is really interesting. You don't you're like, oh yeah, I have an unpleasant memory with this person or whatever, but you don't feel triggered. So I have found EMDR helpful for me. I don't know if it's for everybody. Maybe that's something you can look into, but that is something that has been helpful for me when it comes to like a traumatic past event. So when we choose to forgive to somebody, another helpful thing that I have done with my clients, and that is, what does it look like, practically speaking, is to journal about it. Let's say I am choosing to be a forgiving person. I choose to forgive my husband for XYZ. I choose to forgive my kids. I choose to forgive my sister for XYZ. So you journal in your journal, when you see that person the next time, what would you choose to think? What are you going to choose to say? What are you going to choose to do? What is it going to actually physically look like? And controlling only what is in your control, what you think, what you say, and what you would do in those circumstances. What is it going to look like for you to let go of your resentment towards your husband? And when he comes from work, what is that going to look like? Is it going to look like you coming to him and greeting him with a smile and giving him a hug and say, hey, it's nice to see you? Is it going to look like you having a conversation with him and then just choosing to move on and praying for God to work in his heart? What is it going to look like? And then when you have those negative thoughts from the enemy that wants to breed more resentment and bitterness towards that person, how will you redirect them? They deserve for me to be mean and rude to them. They did XYZ to me. They deserve to be punished. Is that from the Lord? It's not. So how are you going to redirect those thoughts? In the moment, yes, you're going to pray. And how are you going to choose to redirect those thoughts? You put that in the journal. So when that moment does come, you feel empowered because you taught your brain what to do instead of feeling helpless in those circumstances. All right, friends, I'm just going to do a short recap. We talked a lot about letting go of bitterness and resentment and anger on this podcast, especially for someone's past choices. We touched a little bit on traumatic things, and sometimes it's just simple things in everyday life with our spouses. So praying about it, bringing it to the Lord, that's how you process it. You share with somebody who will speak life over you, like a mentor or a coach or somebody that will speak life over you and point you to Jesus and is going to help you redirect your mindset into a positive way. You journal about it. You can write a letter to that person that hurt you really bad, especially if it's something traumatic and really, really hurtful, expressing to them how their choices have impacted you. You can burn that letter, and while praying and surrendering it to God, you can later write a letter of forgiveness. If you choose to do that, you can cry. You make a mental decision of choosing to let this go, choosing to surrender this to the Lord, and that God is going to take care of it. It's a choice. The Bible says we need to forgive. But if we tell our mind, I have to do this, I need to do this, there's automatic resistance. Versus I choose to forgive. because I don't want to hold on to this. And I want freedom in my heart, and I want God to forgive me for my trespasses. I choose to forgive. That feels more empowering versus I have to, I need to, like I'm forced to forgive and pushed to forgive. All right. If you found this podcast helpful, I really appreciate for you to subscribe and to share this with a friend. And if you want help in this area of feeling angry, reactive, resentful, yelling, screaming at your kids, hurting your kids in anger, I'm here to support you. Please book a consultation call with me. I am more than happy to connect with you and see if my program is the next right step for you. All right, friends, until next time. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.